Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Live Pharma Coalition, 28th episode. On behalf of Live Pharma Coalition, we welcome for another interesting session. And today's session is a mixed bag, right from emotional intelligence to storytelling and to leadership. Everything is there in today's program. And then we have subject matter experts from diverse cross sections we have brought to you. So let us start with the presentation first. LPC online discussion, 28th episode. As you know, this Live Pharma Coalition is a non-profit initiative, and the sole purpose is to bring the best subject matter experts for the pharma and pharma sales and marketing professionals. Before we go to 28th episode, let us recognize the participation of last episode best participants. So congratulations to those who are very active and best. As a token of recognition, we would like to mention their name. Congratulations to Mr. Kaushik Chakrabarti for best participation in 27th episode, Mr. Rahul Singh Gahlot, Mr. Praful Kumar, Mr. Raman Bhatt, Mr. Naman Aditya, Ashia Chaudhary, our own Sushil Kumar Barkut sir, Chitranjan Devdhar, and that is it. So once again, thank you very much, all of you. Although most of you have been participated, these are the people who are very active in sharing their learning and asking questions. So we request you all to keep on learning and keep on sharing your thoughts and things. And let us come to a Live Pharma Coalition 28th episode. And in this episode, as I mentioned, we have subject matter expert from diverse group. We have Mr. Milind Kher, CEO at HQ. He is an emotional intelligence specialist. Mr. Arpan Kumar Paul, storyteller, communication strategist, and our own Mr. ICS Verma, who is a leadership coach. So they are going to share with us their knowledge about their domain. It is going to be a learning session. We request you all to keep on sharing your learnings and asking questions. And then I would like to ask, I would like to ask our first speaker, Mr. Milind Kher sir, what is he is going to share today? Milind sir, what is the thing you are going to share with us? An overview of our topic.
So today I'm going to give what the basic concept of emotional intelligence is. I'm also going to talk about how it is useful in application at the workplace and what is the kind of results the use of emotional intelligence is giving us. So these are the three kinds of segments I will cover.
Wonderful, sir. Wonderful. Actually, people across pharma industry are in tremendous emotional stress. Not only healthcare professionals, but also our doctors, paramedical staff. They are unable to control their own emotions and emotions of the patients and the families. That is the really very important topic for all of us to understand our emotions and to know how to regulate the emotion. So we are looking forward for your session, sir. Then I will go to Arpan to share with us what he is there with us for the storytelling. Yes, Arpan.
Yeah, exactly, sir. Good morning, everybody, and good morning to all the members of LPC. Today, I will be basically presenting the evolution and future of storytelling and the utility in corporate communication. As we all know that communication is basically a bridge by which we connect the participant with the speaker. And storytelling is a way of keeping the topic interesting within the audience and also serving as a glue so that it can remain in the minds of the audience. Because very often we have seen the PPT presentations have become very boring. So the quick solution, the easy solution, and the best solution is probably storytelling, which can excite the inquisitive mind and keep them abreast with whatever is happening around by way of interesting stories. Thank you so much.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Actually, stories are something which everyone is interested, not only interested, people remember the story for a long time, right? They may not remember your content and presentation, but people remember the stories. So something to remember is stories, and through the story, if you can give some teaching and learning, that will long lasting. So definitely we are looking forward for learning from you. And then we'll go to our third speaker, Mr. ICS Verma sir, who is going to share with us leadership competencies which is required for all the leaders across pharma industry. Sir, an overview.
You, Yashwant.
Yes, sir.
So we all know that leadership is a skill, or sometimes somebody call it as a leadership is an attitude, or it's an action. So today we are going to discuss about what exactly leadership is and why that is required. Even if I'm a territory manager, I'm just a representative. Can I be a leader? So this we are going to discuss, and what are the competencies that are required to become a great leader.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much. So, a lot of learning are there. So, I request all the viewers to be with us till last and keep on sharing your learnings. We are really fortunate to have a very active viewers. Keep on sharing your learnings, your thought also, and you can keep on asking questions also. With that, I would go to my co-panelist Vinod Vaswani to introduce the first speaker. Vinod, over to
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, Yashwant. Good morning once again to my YouTube and Facebook live audience. It's a pleasure again to have LPC 20th episode, and LPC will continue. The journey goes on. And this is, as we have already shared with you, the active participation from our live audience and the eminent speakers. Today there are diverse topics, and these topics are very, very interesting because I know the audience who join us are majorly from pharma industry, salespeople. And today there are a lot of new skills which are coming up. Emotional intelligence is one of the skill set required in the new normal. So who can be the best on talking on this topic than be the expert we have with us? Mr. Milind Kher is an expert on emotional intelligence. He has his own consultancy, and I can see already on live audience have started sharing their opinion. I can read one opinion which has come from Aru Murugan. Aru Murugan says, congratulations team LPC for organizing different topic. So thank you, Aru Murugan. And with this, I will request Mr. Milind Kher to share his presentation. Yeah. Milind Kher to talk about has an industry experience of 34 years. Milind Kher started his journey way back in 1986. He started with Camlin, and then from there he joined ITC. So ITC, Camlin, he works in sales and marketing, and then had a diverse function movement into HR. And in HR, he was there associated with different organization, including the academically Vidya Lankar. So he was heading Vidya Lankar in HR, and then started off his own consultancy by the name HQ, Hospitality Quotient. And he's a certified ICF certified coach, apart from expert in emotional intelligence and neuro-linguistic programming. So he has worked with human minds and human relations to enable personal and professional excellence. And today it's again our privilege to have an expert to talk on emotional intelligence, which is one of the skills required for our career growth. So with this, I will request my first speaker, Mr. Milind Kher, to take up the interesting topic. Over to you, Milind sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. A very good morning to everybody here. And now I don't need to say anything more about myself, because everything has been so beautifully described by Mr. Yashwant Mishra as well as Mr. Vinod Vaswani. We'll go straight to the subject, and we'll talk about emotional intelligence. So what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand our own emotions and the emotions of other people also, and after that to craft a behavior that is suitable to the context. So regarding emotional intelligence, one thing I would like to say, that the person who made emotional intelligence very popular and really drove it hard 1995 onwards, Daniel Goleman, whose book became very famous, he has said that emotional intelligence today can matter even more than what IQ matters. So at a time when the world is very stressed, at a time when so many people are facing illness, people are facing job losses, people need to build bridges to connect with other people, that's the time when emotional intelligence is going to be of really great use to everybody. So let's look at the emotional competence framework. The emotional competence framework is what emotional intelligence is made up of. Now, these are called clusters. We will go through each of these clusters, and self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. These are the clusters. So now this actually gets sliced two ways. We can talk about knowledge and action, in which case we actually talk about knowledge in terms of self-awareness, for knowledge of self, and empathy in terms of knowledge of other people. Action is self-regulation, motivation, and social skills. Self-regulation and motivation is action for self, and social skills is action for others. The other way that we can slice it is to look at the internal person and then to look at the external environment. So when we look at the internal person, we look at self-awareness and self-regulation. When we look at the external environment, we are looking at motivation, empathy, and social skills. So this is how the layout of the whole thing is. So what is self-awareness? Self-awareness means we should be aware of our emotions. We should be able to assess ourselves properly, and we should be confident. Now, the mind-body connection is a very real connection. Therefore, whatever emotions play through us, we need to know what's happening. We have different hormones. Now, for instance, when we get very stressed, there's a hormone called cortisol. So that cortisol, it makes our heart beat fast. It makes our blood race through, and it also makes the thinking a little blurred. So that's the point of time we become emotionally aware that yes, we are in a kind of an agitated state. On the other hand, when you have hormones like oxytocin and serotonin taking over, they give us a feeling of well-being. They give us a good feeling, and then we become aware that yes, we are in a good state of mind. We are able to connect with people. We are able to address people. So we need to have an accurate self-assessment. We need to know whether we are in the right position to connect with people. We need to know whether we are in the right position to lead people. And then it is all about self-confidence. So self-confidence is an emotional contagion. Emotional contagion, just like you have a viral contagion that spreads from person to person, similarly, emotions are also in this same category. If you go to a wedding, you will find that everybody is in a joyful mood. On the other hand, if you go to a condolence meeting, you will find that everybody is grieving. So these are basic emotions that are getting triggered by the main people who are triggering those emotions. So therefore, self-confidence makes such a difference. Self-regulation is mainly about self-control. So there is an organization called 6 Seconds. So 6 Seconds is an organization which relates to emotional intelligence. So what they have said is that this is based on a research. Okay, there's a book called Molecules of Emotion by Dr. Candace Pert, and she said that for 6 seconds the hormones hold control over us. After that, whether we wish to stay in that state or we don't wish to stay in that state, that is something which is left to our conscious mind, to our cortex, which is our rational brain. So that is about self-control. Trustworthiness is definitely a very important thing. Today, everybody wants to be loved. However, something that everybody, or rather many people value above even being loved, is being trusted. So when trust operates, there is a lot of barriers which get removed, a lot of security systems, a lot of coding and everything, leading to a lot of expense and time. All that happens when there isn't enough trust. So we need to have trust. People have to be conscientious, they have to be aware of their own schedules, and they have to be driven by their inner compass, so that they are completely dependable even without supervision. And of course, today, in this pandemic situation, adaptability and innovation are key, because today people need to be abreast with technology. People need to be very comfortable with using virtual platforms. People need to be able to work from home. People need to be able to adapt to social distancing. So that is what adaptability and innovation is all about. So now when we talk of emotions, now let's look at anger. Now look at the face of this person. She has got her lips pursed. She has got her facial features a little contorted. She has got her eyes narrowed. Now, these are all signs of anger. Okay, so there was a scientist called Paul Ekman. Paul Ekman, for 8 continuous years, studied the 43 muscles of the face to analyze exactly how each muscle on the face works. And he became so good at it that looking at the expression on a person's face during a conversation, he was able to completely tell as to what was going on in the person's mind. Now, let's move from this angry face onto something which is much more pleasant. So this is what a calm face looks like. The eyes are wider, the cheeks are smooth, the lips are smiling. This face also shows the same thing. So we see what is the difference between an angry face and a calm face. And like they say, the face is the mirror of the soul. So whatever is within our hearts, whatever is within our minds, that is something that is expressing itself onto our face. Okay. So how does the human brain interpret all this? Classically, one of the best ways of explaining the human brain is to use the model of the triune brain. So we talk about the Homo sapien brain, which is the new human brain. Homo sapiens have been around for just a little over 10,000 years, and the closer relatives about 50,000 years. However, there is an older brain called the mammalian brain, and the oldest brain, which is called the reptilian brain. Now, these brains have been around for much longer. That is why they are able to respond also much faster, and that is why they have a very strong hold also. That's the reason why we need to be very careful about how we get our rational brain to function. So what is it that happens when a person actually gets really angry? When a person gets really angry, there is a phenomenon called amygdala hijack. Now, very briefly, I'll explain to you what happens. That there is a center called thalamus, which works as, like the old time telephone exchanges, sending out messages. So it sends a message to the neocortex, and then the neocortex uh, again interacts with the rest of the body, including the amygdala, to give its commands. However, there is also a synapse that happens between the thalamus and the amygdala. So this emotional part of the brain gets a signal before the rational part of the brain, and then it takes over all the functions. That's why, sometimes when we are driving in traffic, and a car suddenly cuts ahead of us, don't we get very angry? Or if we are waiting in a long line and somebody doesn't respect the line and suddenly comes and stands in front of us. So what happens? That's the time when we really get our blood boiling and we scream at the person and do all kinds of things. So That is when an amygdala hijack is happening, when our rational brain is not really able to kick in. So it is important for us to wait those 6 seconds out and to take a deep breath and to exhale. When we do that, we are able to understand what's happening, and we are going to be able to get a grip on the situation. Then in emotional intelligence, of course, motivation of people is important. The person who is operating as a leader needs to have an achievement drive. There needs to be a commitment towards fulfilling a particular goal. The leader needs to take initiative, and the leader needs to be optimistic. So I'll tell you how it used to be when we were in ITC, and whenever we had to do a brand launch, everybody from various teams would be gathered into the conference room, and the plan would be spelt out. The kind of energy that we would put into that brand launch, the kind of efforts that we would give, that would all depend on how it was driven by, say, the branch manager or the district manager, whoever was the senior person at that point in time who was driving this process. Very important. We were always told at all levels that you need to walk the talk. So at all levels of the company, whoever was in a leadership position, they always walk the talk. And then we used to give commitments because there used to be targets. So we used to tell district office, we used to tell head office that, okay, this is the kind of sales that we are going to be able to give you. And we used to be reporting on that time and again. And where does initiative and optimism come into it? Very simple. When we were briefed, they took a long time on the briefing. However, once we were out to execute, that point in time, we were the people on the ground. Okay. And we didn't have to keep ringing up and asking permissions and asking guidance. We used to take everything into our hands. So that was the initiative, that was the optimism that we needed to show. So how does motivation work? Motivation works when we are able to get ourselves across to other people. Now, if you take a look at this smile is actually not reaching the face. So often we go about smiling and smiling and smiling, but we don't really feel so happy receiving plastic smiles. So if there is an original smile, what happens is there are involuntary muscles below the eyes. The involuntary muscles which are below the eyes, they form small little crow's feet. They form small little crow's feet, and you automatically come to know that a person is happy. So that is where the smile originates. That's why we always say, does the person's smile reach their eyes? So that's the thing about it. This again you will find is a genuine smile. So always the eyes crinkle, and the mouth breaks into that kind of smile, which tells you that, yeah, that's great. So which is why, in fact, I always put this slogan, spread the smile. And now it has become an accepted hashtag on social media also, which I'm very happy about. So let's carry on that contagion. Then we come to empathy. So empathy is a step above sympathy. Sympathy is where we feel for another person. Empathy is when we feel like the other person. Okay, so sympathy is, when we take a stand of, oh, poor you. Whereas empathy is a stand where we are saying, we are in this together. So we need to understand people, we need to develop them. Now, as far as development is concerned, it used to be a very, very important thing for us in the company, where we used to have a thing called the development plan, where you had strengths, you had areas for improvement. So the areas for improvement used to form the development plan for the person, because ultimately everything is going to be driven by the team. So therefore, it's important for the team to be developed. And service orientation is where, as a manager, or rather more appropriately as a leader, we are there to serve. When we serve people, then alone can we get people to also appreciate us and obey us. And this political awareness that's been talked about is actually nothing to do with politics. What it means is the group dynamics. What Daniel Goleman means by political awareness is what we understand as group dynamics. We need to understand what the interpersonal linkages of people are. So that is what it is. We see the kindness that hospital staff shows to patients, and research has conclusively shown that when kindness is shown by the hospital staff to patients, that's the time when the recoveries are much faster. Okay, so because the mind body connection is a very real thing, and definitely in a happy state the immunity also is much better. Kindness to students works because, when people are in sync, that's the time when there is optimum glucose that is passing through the blood brain barrier. So when a person has a good rapport with the teacher, the person is able to focus much better, and therefore the learning of the person also is much better. So kindness to students is a good thing. The better the rapport the teacher has with the students, the better the teacher will be able to teach them. So what applies in the educational system is something that also applies as far as the regular kind of office systems or businesses are concerned. These are the social skills. Social skills are something that would actually take an entire program to explain. If you like, you can take a snapshot of this, you can take a photograph of this, and you can look at all this. Influence is key. Influence, conflict management, and leadership. These are very key skills that every leader needs to really develop. Okay. So why is EQ useful? EQ is useful because it is very result oriented. EQ accounts for 58% of the performance in all kinds of jobs. 90% of the high performers are high in EQ. Only 10% of the high performers are low in EQ. Now, Sanofi Aventis is a very leading company. So they carried out an research where they benchmarked the trained salespeople versus the salespeople who had not received training pertaining to emotional intelligence. And it was found that those who were trained in emotional intelligence, they were able to outsell their peers by 12%. Similarly, if we look at the cosmetic industry, L'Oreal is a very leading cosmetic company. In fact, we know somebody who is on the L'Oreal Dream Team. Now, the L'Oreal Dream Team is a team which is globally recognized, and every year they are called to Paris, they're felicitated, they're given certificates and everything. So here also, these people are subjected to a lot of inputs on emotional intelligence. So at L'Oreal, they again did this kind of a research, and they found that using EI fetched $2.5 million more the people who were using EI than those recruited using normal processes. So this in brief is about emotional intelligence. I've spoken to you about the clusters. I have spoken to you about the mechanics of the operation. We have discussed as to how we can read people. And then finally, we are concluding with how emotional intelligence is really useful for people. And these are my coordinates. You can note them down, and you can get in touch whenever you like. So yes, thanks everybody. That's it for my presentation. As of now, I'll stop sharing the screen. Okay.
Yeah. Milinji, stop sharing it. Yes. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. So that was a real informative session on emotional intelligence, Milinji. And I'm
Thank
sure
you.
the kind of insights you have given, this will definitely help our live viewers also and those who will be watching the recording link. Just to
Sure.
summarize what you said on emotional intelligence, you talked about emotional intelligence competitive framework, which consists of self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skill. You also
Correct.
gave the
Correct.
insights in terms of self-awareness, which is self-awareness stands for emotional awareness, accurate self-awareness, self-confidence.
Correct.
Self-regulation, you talked about self-control, trustworthiness, adaptability, to name a few. And very nicely, aptly, you gave the example how amygdala hijack happens. Apart from that, you talked about motivation, which is driven by achievement, commitment, initiative, and optimism, and empathy, which is putting yourself in someone else's shoe, where it is
Yeah.
more of a understanding others. How do you
Correct.
understand and
Correct.
develop others? Service orientation, leveraging diversity and political awareness.
Yeah.
And lastly, social skills, which are the important skills in today's era. Social skills you talked about in terms of influence, communication, conflict management, change catalyst, leadership. So very, very informative session. And some statistics you gave, which is in terms of EQ accounts for 58% of performance in all kinds of job, which
Yes.
is
Yes.
very, very
Yes.
high. It is always was thought that intelligent quotient is more important, and we used to have people from IIT. Now we are getting an insights that 58% of success in a job is because of emotional quotient, and
True.
90% of high performers are high in EQ. This is a very important information which you have shared with us. Thank you. I can see lot of appreciations are coming on the Facebook, YouTube. The
That's so
audiences
kind
are
of the
there.
viewers.
Just to recognize few is in terms of your Sunil Malkani. Sunil Malkani is a dear friend of mine. He is
Okay.
again
Okay.
there in Sun Pharma. He has appreciated PK Rajput. PK Rajput sir was one of our speakers.
Ah.
He's
Yeah.
a
Yeah. Yeah.
vice
Pramod
president.
Kumar Rajput. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
he says it is going up very well. Fantastic illustration by Milind sir. Senthil is there with us. Yashwant,
Ah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, Ritesh Sharma is there.
Okay.
And
Okay.
some of the appreciations which have come in terms of Radha Krishnan. Sunil Malkani says sympathy versus empathy, feel for versus feel is like the other person. And there is again Aru Murugan, who is again a regular with us. He is also live. So thank you very much for the live audience for being live. Before we go to the next speaker, to my moderator Yashwan, there is one question, sir, which I would like to ask you, because emotional intelligence is a very important subject for our salespeople. They always think that sales mein matlab you should know more of technical know-how and the scientific part. You are giving them a different direction. So, sir, my question to you is how emotional intelligence will help in increasing the sales? How it is connected with the sales?
Okay. I'll take that question.
Yes,
Yeah,
please,
yeah,
please.
sir. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So a very important thing is that in any sales process, there is a sales that is happening, and there is a buying that is happening. Okay. So when we use emotional intelligence, we are actually able to tap into the buying motives. And the thing is that everybody likes to buy. People don't like to be sold to. So emotional intelligence helps people buy rather than us having to pitch sales to them.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So it's a very informative session. I should recognize one more person who is not from the pharma background. He is my father-in-law, Mr. Nand Kumar. Nand Papa is there. He is also watching because the topic
Wow.
is so much relevant for even non-pharma people. They are also live. So thank you,
Wonderful.
Papa, for being there. My father-in-law, Mr. Nand
Wonderful.
Kumar Rora. With this, I will go to my moderator Yashwant to talk about our second speaker. Yashwant, over to you.
Thank you very much, Vinod. A really insightful session, sir. We really enjoyed the session. We have heard about emotional intelligence a lot of time, but today you have given in-depth understanding and overview of emotional intelligence. Really, thank you very much. So, some questions definitely we'll take. With that, we'll go to our next speaker, Mr. Arpan Kumar Paul. Right, and Arpan is expert in storytelling, and as you know, every one of us like some stories. Interesting and the impact will be very long. So Arpan is a storyteller, enthusiastic communication strategist, and also he's an evangelist and capability advisor. Arpan is a guest faculty in Sikkim Manipal University for MBA students. He is having 24 years of experience in pharmaceutical sales and marketing, and majorly into Zydus. His first and last company is Zydus. The commitment is commendable. And Arpan's vision is for inspiring people of corporate world with storytelling and communication. So we are fortunate to have Arpan today with us. So Arpan, we request you to share your presentation and take us through the world of storytelling.
Yes, sir, definitely.
Please share.
First of all, yes.
Go ahead.
First
Yes.
of all, thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful introduction. I don't know whether I deserve the wonderful accolades that you have said about me. But first of all, I would like to thank the enterprising quartet of Mr. Verma, Mr. Vinod, Mr. Raman, and you, sir, of LPC for giving me such a wonderful opportunity to speak on your brilliant platform. At the same time, I would like to thank my friends, colleagues, and seniors, and many of whom have been my mentors, my gurus, for sparing their precious time in this Sunday morning to attend this session. So I start on with the evolving of and the future of storytelling in communications, corporate communications, right, sir?
Yes. Go ahead.
So we start with the history of storytelling. So have we ever imagined how our lives would have been without the stories which have come to our life? So storytelling as an activity began as early as 9,000 years ago, and the first written stories were manually transcribed on stone or clay, and much later on paper. The earliest stories began as drawings, which over time changed into script. In the 200s BC, the Aesop's fables were written down, and they continue to teach lessons to us even today. So stories have been a part of human existence, isn't it? And right from the time we found ourselves on the laps of our parents and grandparents, the stories have always served as an inspiration. In fact, storytelling is an art which I feel follows a science, giving commercial benefit. So India being one of the oldest civilizations in the world, we have been lucky enough to be influenced by the epics like the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, which have taught us the difference between the good and the evil, as well as the ultimate purpose of our existence. But do we all know that what is the biggest storyteller, or who the biggest storyteller in the world is? Well, I think it's our life, because the incidences that take place daily in our lives, as well as around us, tell us the greatest stories and teach us a wonderful lesson. Now it's up to us to decide whether to take it or to leave it. But storytelling in general follows a very particular rule, that a story should be like a mini skirt. It should be short enough to attract, and at the same time, it should be long enough to cover. This visual, I think, is something each one of us has gone through. the monotonous PowerPoint presentation. The common mistake of PowerPoint presentations is that they are created for the presenter, not for the audience. And as a result, they often become pretty boring. So the effort of the presenter from preparing the slides to developing the content often goes in vain, as the organization loses out on its precious time and money. So in today's corporate world, PPTs are probably the most vital ingredient of any meeting. But the question is, are we really convinced with the presentations which show a lot of stats, the graphs, as well as the datas? In fact, the presenters have the intent, but some way lack the content. The audience may give a nod or an occasional smile to signify their acceptance. But do we have any idea what is going on in their mind? In fact, the ice-breaking sessions, I feel, are seldom practiced, and the presenters always remain an alien to the audience. But I don't blame the presenters because they suffer from the constraints of time, and they are under the compulsion of their clients to wrap up their presentations within a stipulated time and a fixed commercial. So they hardly have the space or the time to exercise their creativity as well as their innovation. In fact, these things don't seem convincing to the audience because within every adult, I feel that there is a child who is very stubborn and has a super ego, and they become a very hard nut to crack and very difficult to convince. So PPTs seldom touch our emotions or establish a connect between the presenter and the audience. On the other way, stories come with two things, the visuals and the emotional communication. And I believe that the visuals serve as a hammer and the emotional communications, they serve as the glue. As a result, the story sticks to the heart of the audience. In fact, a compelling story teaches us, influences us, and inspires an entire generation of people. And that's the essence of storytelling. This visual tells us about some of the world's most famous storytellers. The world's most famous storytellers. And who doesn't know of them? Mr. Steve Jobs, isn't it? Among the many things that made Steve Jobs was that he was a storyteller by heart. He never shied away, in fact, from expressing his vulnerability, his expectation, his fear of embarrassment or failures, and of course, his success. But at the same time, we have to accept this, that it was only because of him that apple, which was earlier considered as a fruit, has got a totally new meaning.
Arpan, your
Yes.
audio is not coming.
It's not coming?
Now it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So these are the world's most famous storytellers, and arguably they are the most powerful, inspirational, and successful entrepreneurs that have lived on this planet. First of all is Mr. Steve Jobs. In fact, Mr. Steve Jobs was a storyteller by heart because he never shied away from expressing his vulnerability, his expectations, his fear of embarrassment, or maybe his failures. And at the same time, he was very happy to share his success. And it was because of him that apple, which was earlier only considered as a fruit, got a totally new meaning. Now, the second visual is Oprah Winfrey, who is a talk show host, a storyteller, a media executive, an actress, and a philanthropist. And we all know that her claim to fame was from the Oprah Winfrey Show, which aired for as many as 25 seasons from 1986 to 2011. But do we know something about Oprah Winfrey? Well, she had an extremely disturbing childhood, being born in poverty to a single mother. In fact, she was molested in her childhood and conceived at the age of 14. So, indeed, her story to stardom is very inspiring, and I think it has already inspired a generation of people. The third photograph is Mr. David Mackenzie Ogilvy, the British advertising tycoon. He was the founder of Ogilvy and Mather and known as the father of advertising. Some of his quotes are really inspiring, and I feel like sharing with you. The first quote that I really love is that he says, "The customer isn't a moron, she's your wife. So always treat your customer with respect and with care and with compassion." The second is that the best ideas come as jokes. So make your thinking funny. So he always believed in the funny side of everything. So unless we think funny, we will not be creative. Ideas won't be coming to us. A good advertisement is one which sells the product without drawing attention to itself. So when an advertisement is good, the outcome is that the product should sell well. It's not that the advertisement should sell well, the product should sell well. And the most important, as per my consideration, is that if each one of us hire people who are bigger than us, we shall become a company of giants. Unfortunately, some of the organization still hire people maybe not as good as they are. As a result, some of the organizations are heading towards a company of dwarfs. And the fourth person here is Mr. Jack Welch, who was the chairman and the CEO of GE and a global business leader. He was an inspirational storyteller and always believed in the three S's, that is the speed, simplicity, and his self-confidence. His most famous saying was probably the generosity gene, where he had urged all the leaders to have few strands in them. And he said that if the employers take care of the employees, they will be ready to go to the moon for them. So that is Mr. Jack Welch for you. And aren't they really inspiring? I think they are. But some way we fail to derive the inspiration from their entrepreneurial journey. Maybe it is the cultural disconnect that we have with them. So let us take inspiration from people who have a cultural connect with all of us. And the first, I think, is Mr. Ramesh C. Juneja, who I feel is truly inspirational. Because who can forget this inspirational gentleman who worked as a medical representative for Lupin and later got promoted as area manager in Meerut. Yes, he along with his brother, Mr. Rajiv, founded Mankind Pharma in 1995 with an investment of only 50 lakh rupees and an initial team of only 25 medical representatives. And today, Mankind is the fastest growing pharmaceutical company in India and the biggest marketeer of ED drugs and contraceptive pills. Well, Mr. Juneja followed a strategy which is known as the flanking marketing strategy. It was something very innovative at that time because hardly any pharma company followed it. And it was entirely based to capture the market that was not well served by the competition. And that was the rural market. And today, many companies are following them. But then those markets have become red oceans. So you are truly inspirational, Mr. Ramesh Juneja. Many will follow you and try to emulate you. And this is Mr. Dalip Sanghvi, the truly sensational person, the son of a pharmaceutical distributor. In fact, Mr. Sanghvi borrowed $200 from his father to start Sun Pharma in 1983 to make psychiatric drugs. And today, Sun Pharma is the world's fourth largest specialty generic maker and India's most valuable pharma outfit. And not to mention the #1 ranked pharmaceutical company in India. A Padma Shri recipient in 2016, India Today magazine ranked him as the 8th most powerful person in India in the year 2017. But he also came from a very small town and graduated in commerce from the city of Joy, Kolkata at Bhawanipur College. But as a young man, he used to observe his father, who was a pharmaceutical distributor and got an interest in generic drugs. And gradually he bought the idea of opening his own drug manufacturing unit and making his dream into a reality. He focused on making his company grow and within a few years started exporting to neighboring countries as well. And in 2015, Mr. Dalip Sanghvi overtook the great Mukesh Ambani as the richest person in India. So you are truly sensational. And here is Mr. Karsanbhai Patel, a man who dared to dream and a man who dared to fulfill his dream, a man who went from rags to riches. A chemistry honors graduate, Mr. Patel worked as a lab technician, first at a cotton mill and then at a geology department in Ahmedabad. And at the age of 24, he started manufacturing phosphate-free detergent, Nirma, at a garage in his backyard. So without a formal degree in marketing, he proved to the world that a marketeer does not need an MBA to be successful. In fact, everybody's ears would actually stand straight for the one of the most popular advertisement of washing powder Nirma tune. In fact, there would be hardly a person in this meeting who cannot identify the tune of Nirma, which played on for so many years. But even in the wildest of dream, it would be impossible for Mr. Karsanbhai Patel, the son of a farmer, of becoming such an inspirational and influential businessman, and who would actually change the way people look at a detergent powder. Incidentally, the name of Nirma was taken up from his beloved daughter Nirupama, who passed away in a car accident. And believe me, he poured all his love and affection as the ingredients into Nirma. He was also a proud recipient of the Padma Shri Award. So Karsanbhai Patel, you are a messiah to all the people who have dared to dream and change their dream into a reality. There's the Haryana Hurricane, Mr. Kapil Dev. Born in a family of timber merchants, Kapil joined the Desh Prem Azad Academy in 1971 for cricket coaching. On the 25th of June 1983, he got the nation on its feet by winning the Prudential World Cup playing as underdogs. The only Indian cricketer to have scored over 5,000 runs and taken over 400 wickets in Test cricket. Well, we all remember the 1983 World Cup final between India and West Indies, and the extra over which Madan Lal took from Kapil Dev to bowl to Sir Viv Richards, and the mistimed pull shot which Sir Viv had played, and Kapil running from square leg finally pocketed the catch, and, and that sent Sir Viv Richards to the pavilion. In fact, in an interview, Sir Viv had also said that had it not been for Kapil Dev, the catch probably would never have been taken. But before the final, there was a qualifying match against Zimbabwe where Kapil had an unbeaten knock of 175. And in fact, we were very unlucky because of a BBC strike that the match was not recorded. And Man Singh, who was the manager of the 1983 World Cup winning team of India, said that it was this inspirational knock of 175 by Kapil Dev against Zimbabwe that ignited the spark in the dressing room. In fact, the World Cup victory changed the face of Indian cricket, and people started to take our team members very seriously. India hosted the next World Cup in 1987. In fact, this victory by Kapil's Devils, I will say, inspired a whole generation of youngsters to take up the sport seriously because this brought in a lot of money to the game. So Kapil Paji, you will always be the harbinger of the way cricket is now played in India. This is the man with a golden voice, the king of cricket commentary, Harsha Bhogle. Born to professor parents, Harsha earned a BTech in chemical engineering and then completed his PGDM from IIM Ahmedabad. He started his professional journey in an advertising agency and then worked for a sports management company. Since 1995, he has been presenting live cricket around the world for ESPN Star Sports. And he has also been conferred with the title of the sexiest voice on radio in Australia in 1992. And apart from being a cricket commentator, he was also a presenter as well as an author and has many publications to his credit, including the biography of Muhammad Azharuddin. In fact, it is Harsha's commentary which not only made him special, but the dash of humor and wits he added to the slice of commentary that he did. In fact, he redefined commentary with a magical voice, which provided content which is absolutely a gold mine. In fact, he has also got some special quotes on some wonderful cricket players, some of which I would definitely like to share. On the sublime form of Rahul Dravid, he said that if Rahul was asked to walk on water, he would ask, how many kilometers? And when Sachin and Dhoni were batting together, it was such a wonderful quote that he said that we have a surgeon on one end and a butcher on the other. Once when Michael Clarke, the then captain of Australia, was caught at the slip, but he was still waiting for the umpire to declare him out, Harsha said something very interesting. He said that Michael Clarke is probably waiting for tomorrow's newspaper to declare him out. And on Cheteshwar Pujara, who has a wonderful, unique style of batting, Harsha said that Pujara is a classical musician in the era of Yo-Yo Honey Singh. And we all know about the explosive Glenn Maxwell batting. And Harsha said that Maxwell loves to storm. And I guess if he had a car, he would probably start it on the fourth gear. So Harsha Bhogle, you have really been an inspiration to the world of cricket commentary. This photograph, I dare not say more because it's the Prince of Kolkata, Saurav Ganguly. And as a child, he was more inclined towards playing football, but shifted to cricket as his brother Snehashish played cricket as well. Though a right-hander, he started batting left-handed so that he could use his brother's cricket equipment. And Saurav made his Ranji debut at the age of 18 and made his ODI debut for India in 1992 against the West Indies. The difference was that though he was born in an affluent business family in Kolkata and having got a wonderful debut at a very small age of 1992, he was dropped. And after 4 years, did he get a chance to once again make his test debut. But he was gutted and devastated, but not finished. In fact, the best thing that happened to him was that he was dropped because that changed him as a person and as a cricketer. And he went on to become arguably one of the best keepers that India has ever produced in cricketing history. In fact, he injected an aggressive approach to the national side, and the Australians, who were famous for sledging, in fact, he turned the tide against them when he started sledging the Australians in their own backyard. Well, he led the Indian team who made it to the finals of the World Cup in 2003. Currently, the BCCI president and the Dada of Dadagiri. His journey is no short of inspiration. So, Saurav, you really inspire a generation of people. In fact, Mahendra Singh Dhoni's story is no longer untold. Born to a Rajput family in Jharkhand, he was the youngest of the siblings. From school life, he was into sports and was interested in badminton and football. In fact, he was the goalkeeper of his school football team. And once when his school team wicketkeeper was injured, and since he was a goalkeeper, his coach asked him to keep the wickets. And the rest, we all know, is history. Because from starting as a TT in railways to becoming the most successful Indian cricket captain, well, this man has done everything. And in fact, he lifted the inaugural edition of the T20 World Cup in Durban with a bunch of talented but relatively inexperienced players against their arch rivals, Pakistan. And in 2011, when India hosted the World Cup, Dhoni did not disappoint his fans. In fact, he hit a six of Kulasekhara at Wankhede in his own signature style to bring the cup for India after a gap of 28 years. Today, MS has retired from all formats of cricket for India, but his journey is very inspiration and can seldom be emulated. Dhoni bhai, wonderful inspiration for the younger generation of cricketers. Now we come to this Aesop's fables of a famous story of the rabbit and the tortoise. In fact, the account of a race between unequal partners has always attracted conflicting interpretations. The fable is a common folk tale theme in which the ingenuity and trickery are employed to overcome a stronger opponent. We all know the first part of a story where the rabbit just outran the tortoise and won the race very comfortably. The tortoise invited the rabbit for another race, and this time again the rabbit ran very fast, but complacency was there within him. And since the sun was shining, he decided to take some rest under the tree. But to his bad luck, he fell asleep. And when he woke up, he saw the tortoise on the finishing line. So this was the second story. The third was that they both decided upon a race. But this time there was a slight modification in the course of the race. It had the green fields, the muddy tracks, but it also had a small stream as part of the course. Well, the rabbit ran really fast. It covered the green fields and then the muddy tracks, but then stopped dead when he approached the stream. The tortoise slowly but surely walked and walked and walked and then came to the stream and found the rabbit waiting there because the rabbit couldn't swim. Now the tortoise carried the rabbit on his back and crossed the stream. Coming to the other side, the rabbit did not run. Instead, they finished the race together. So today the world is letting go of competition and embracing collaboration because that's the way forward. Because we are getting rid of the rivalry and we are trying to cooperate to create a wonderful world for all of us, and which has been very aptly shown by Burger King and McDonald's collaboration. In fact, the burger chain is showing support to the entire food service industry as Burger King encourages consumers to order from their arch rivals McDonald's. As COVID-19 is forcing people across Europe back into another lockdown, these two food service industry giants are standing up for the survival of the industry as well as for the workers. So what I feel that the challenges, they transform the competitors into collaborators, and obviously these challenges they bring out the bedrock of creativity from the people to innovate themselves. And storytelling is an important aspect of learning and development, as well as fine-tuning the communication skills of the trainees. In fact, storytelling removes the monotony of the PowerPoint presentations and makes the training sessions very interesting and exciting. I hope you enjoyed watching my presentation and you found the session really interesting. Thank you so much, and a very happy Diwali to you and your family. And in any case, you need to contact me. The details are given below. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you very much, Arpan. Really insightful, mesmerizing presentation on storytelling. We enjoyed it a lot. Got in and lot of motivational stories you shared. Once upon a time, there was an elephant. The moment you tell this word, people will be interested. That is the power of storytelling. Once upon a time, there was a king. So whatever you say, whichever story you start, the interest level goes up. People pay attention and they know that the story will be interesting and I will get some learning also. That is the power of the story. So wonderfully, you have given insight into the storytelling. So before we go to next, a brief synopsis of what you have covered. So the history of storytelling is 9,000 years back, right from Ramayana and Mahabharata. Storytelling started. Tenali Rama story, no one can forget. And then you told about the famous storytellers like Steve Jobs. He was mesmerizing in storytelling. Every one of us has witnessed that. Oprah Winfrey, Jack Welch, these are the people who have inspired us in storytelling. And then you told some brief story, inspiring stories of some of the successful people, and some of them from pharma industry itself. Mr. Ramesh Juneja of Mankind, who started his journey as a MR and then went up to building a conglomerate called Mankind. And then Dilip Sanghvi, who was a distributor, and then he has made Sun Pharma, world's fourth largest pharmaceutical company. And then Kesar Karsan Bhai Patel of Nirma. So a lot of inspiring stories you told. Kapil Dev, Burger King, and last but not least, Rabbit and Tortoise story. No one can forward. And many people will be surprised to know that Rabbit and Tortoise stories are being told in IAM also, because a lot of leadership lessons are there in that. in this story. A lot of leadership lessons are also there. Strategic thinking, leadership lessons are there, teamwork. So thank you very much, Arpan, for giving us insight into storytelling. We really enjoyed it. Before I go to Vinod for the next, just two or three, lot of recognition, lot of appreciation you have got from our viewers. And Mr. P.K. Rajput, who is also a speaker and a part of Loy Pharma
Yes.
Coalition, he has told that Arpan is an excellent person with good capability, storytelling, and his best attribute is storytelling in a simple way. Thank you very much, sir, for appreciation.
Thank you. Thank
Senthil,
you.
Senthil
Thank you.
has mentioned a book of Jake Welch, Winning, which is having a lot of story, and also said that our mothers and grandmothers are the best storytellers. We remember that, right? And Ratis has told that storytelling is inculcates everything. Storytelling inculcates everything, right from success to failure to struggle and never give up attitude. Thank you very much, Ratis, for your insightful things. This is what Sudeep Bhaumit also has appreciated your session. Storytelling, great part. Storytelling is a great part of effective communications. And Ratis has also said that Sachin's autobiography is also having a lot of inspiring stories. So thank you very much, everyone. We have really been fortunate enough to have Arpan with us, and you all. We are happy that you enjoyed the session. With that, I would like to go to Vinod for the next session.
Yeah,
I request
yeah,
both Milind sir and Arpan to stay tuned
yeah.
so that we'll take some more questions on that. Thank you very much. Over
Yes,
to Vinod.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Thank you, Yashwant. Again, Arpan, a very impactful session. A lot of people live comments has already shared by Yashwant, which have come on this. Storytelling has always inspired people. Even in training programs, I remember I being a trainer
Exactly.
myself, 14
Yes.
years in this training industry. Whenever you start with the story, the people are connected. They remember the
Yes.
stories years together. So this has been the
Yes.
experience. And thank you very much. You are again sharing your stories also in LinkedIn. That is also the best part
Yes.
to have you.
Yeah.
Some of the comments have already been mentioned. One comment which has come is in terms of the Thakur Saurav Singh Tomar. He also says it's very good, impactful session. Good stories have been shared. So just all
Thank
have
you.
been mentioned. Arumurugan also true and real incidents always inspires other. So whenever
Absolutely.
you talk about true and real incidences, they have more connect. Okay, which
Yes.
is there.
Yes.
And
Yes.
before I go to my next speaker, there is one questions which has come for Milind sir. So with this, we will after this question, it's a very interesting question. That is the reason I am taking in between. And this question has come from Debabrata Mujumdar. He
Uh-huh.
wants to ask to Milind sir, can you tell me the techniques of self-management in tough situation? So what are the techniques of self-management? Because that situations are so tough. COVID, post-COVID also, when you go and meet the doctors, their self-management, some technique insights you can share, sir.
Okay. You know that some very brief techniques are where we use a breathing. Now, there's a book by Peter Bregman called 4 seconds, all right, which is the total time that is taken to inhale and to exhale. So,
Okay.
so when we deeply inhale and exhale, we bring a quantum shift into the way our mind thinks. Also, you know, when a person is attending a meeting, if a person carries a beverage in their hands and sips it, it is very difficult to get angry. You know, when you're sipping coffee or you're sipping a cold drink, you cannot be shouting and sipping at the same time. This is as far as techniques are concerned. As far as the psychology is concerned, let's say one is going to a doctor. When we realize that the doctor is actually in a situation which is very, very much more difficult than ours, when we realize that the doctors are literally putting their lives on the line, then we realize that, you know, serving them, we need to be able to do anything that we can to ensure that we give them the best. So I think that kind of a thought, you know, that service orientation thought, that empathy thought, that admiration for the doctor itself will make us feel much more humble and help us to control ourselves.
Thank you, Milinji. It was, I'm sure, Devabrat and all those who are live with us, they will be very happy, the response which is there. And new points, we also learned that having a sip of or a cup of coffee when you are angry. And it's always said that the smile is the best part to hide your anger. And I remember the scene from Munna by MBBS. You have to count down from 10 to 1. So whenever you get an angry, yes. With this, we will go to our third speaker, ICS Verma. ICS Verma doesn't require any introduction. He has been in the industry for 20 years. He is a leadership development coach. He has been there in pharma sales and marketing, digital marketing, information technology, to name a few, customer engagement, global projects. He's been associated with CIPLA and grown in CIPLA in this organization. And he's one of our part also, LPC. And as you know, LPC is a joint initiative, which 4 of us are regular. ICS is one of them, panelist or moderator. This LPC program is a teamwork under Raman Marke. I should mention that gentleman's name because I know Raman Marke, even though he's back end with us always, he has been very, very encouraging. This LPC, we are celebrating 28th episode. All credit should go to Raman Marke because he encourages creativity. He encourages the participations from audiences, participations from or suggestion from panel member. Very, very, I should say, in terms of social skills, one of the best person I've met, Raman Marke. And now with this, we have today a very interesting topic, which is on competency, leadership competency. So to talk on that, let me again go over to ICS Verma. So Verma ji, over to you.
Thank you, Vinod. We had two wonderful sessions, and both are actually leadership skills. So emotional intelligence and storytelling, because being a leader, you should be emotionally intelligent and you should have good stories to inspire the people. So today I'll be taking on the few nuggets of leadership and how what kind of skills that you have apart from the basic skills. So let's start the leadership competencies. So first of all, what is competency? So competency is a set of behaviors organized around conscious intent that result in effective behavior. So anything that is consciously organized for a effective behavior, that is called a competency. So we say that for a job, if you are a medical representative, what competencies you require, and you become a manager, what competencies you require. So every next level of your life always demands a different competency. So we'll understand different competencies that we call it as a threshold competency. So what is threshold competencies? Threshold competencies are the skills that are required to perform a simple job. For example, if you're a regional manager, so what skills you require? You require managing your team, you require communication, and you require creativity, and you require computer knowledge, because this is very, very important skill as far as any job is concerned. So every job is a technology job today. And so whatever the job skills that you require, that is called threshold competencies. So threshold competencies are the competencies that is a must-have competencies. Okay. So now we see what are the leadership competencies. So before that, what is leader? Who is leader? Most of the times, when I was a representative, I was thinking like, if I become a manager, I will become a leader. So I will lead my team. So this is what usually comes to our thought. Like you get a position and you lead a team, that then you become a leader. But when I looked back, and a few of the examples that I am going to share you is, the first one is your home itself. So your mother and father, who are actually the real leaders, from whom you learn a lot of things. So I learned how to become obedient, how to become very calm and composed in any kind of situation through my mother, and how to be very loyal. I got this from my father. So these are all some of the characters that we get, and these are all called leadership qualities. So leadership qualities is not with the position. They don't come with the position or with the title. They are learned day by day through your experience and through your efforts. Okay, so the first leader whom we experience is our mother, father, and sometimes our brother, who is an elder brother or younger brother, who is taking responsibility. Even if he's sometimes we say that wo ladka chota ladka hai, lekin wo he's taking a lot of responsibility in the home. So he is a leader. even though he is a younger brother, but or a younger sister who is taking responsibility of the entire family, though he is a leader. And then we also know few of those leaders who is the inspirational leaders from our history, like Shivaji Maharaj and Subhash Chandra Bose ji, and we have Sushma Swaraj ji and Abdul Kalam. So these are some of the most inspirational leaders. If you see the character of these leaders, they are all made from zero. So it was not given from the family or something like. So it was all built by them, by brick, and they became like a great leaders. And if you see the qualities of these leaders, one thing is very, very evident is their emotional intelligence, is their obedience, is their down to earth character. So these are the things that made them so effective, and we admire them for years and years, and probably for the generations. So when it comes to leadership, we call it as three competencies. I call it as 3 I's of leadership. So what are those 3 I's? EI, SI, and CI. So EI, already Milind sir has discussed much about EI, that is called emotional intelligence, and then social intelligence, and CI is cognitive intelligence. So let us see. And we have already discussed about emotional intelligence in depth, so I don't want to once again go and repeat it. So we all know what is emotional intelligence and emotional quotient, and whatever we knew is just a tip of the iceberg, and there are many things are it comes with through practice and through your consistent efforts. Okay, and what is SI? So SI is a social intelligence, the ability to get along with the people. So even if you have a good EI, definitely you will be able to get along with the people, because you understand what is their feelings and what they are feeling inside. So you have these skills developed through SI. So let us see what are those skills. Active listening. So listening happens. See, we all listen, and sometimes we only hear. But active listening happens when actually you completely understand the other person. You are just giving the complete attention. Then the active listening happens, and that is through empathy only that will come. And then social awareness, like so you if there is something happen, some bad thing happened, and you cannot go there and you cannot celebrate there, because you should be socially aware. What is the surroundings? What is the situation of that atmosphere? And then you have to act accordingly. So that is called social intelligence. And the teamwork. Very, very important skill for a leader is the teamwork. We have seen that most of the times an individual performer, once he becomes a manager or a when he goes up in the ladder, sometimes he misses to encourage the team, rather than he himself does all the things, or he will blame others, because he may not be understanding what is the teamwork. So teamwork is taking the credit less and taking the blame more. When you say that, okay, galti hua, theek hai, I will take the responsibility. But if anything happens excellent, good, tell that it's a team effort, and my team has done this. And the moment you do that, the people also will give you that credit. They know that, okay, you are not a credit taker, and you are actually a leader. So that's called a teamwork for a leadership. And influence, very, very important social skill as an influence, because what happens is there is something called mirror neurons. Okay, so these mirror neurons are the responsible neurons for kind of like, for example, if you are a leader and you do something, like you laugh and you share ideas, the team also does the same thing. That is because they literally copy the leader. But if you are not smiling, or you are very serious every time, then probably you're missing that the fun kind of thing and the people learning attitude. So that's why it's very important for a leader to influence through his actions, and that can be only possible through compassion and love. So that's called the influence for a social intelligence. And the conflict management, when there is a conflict, always don't only target on the personal thing. Better to address the issue rather than the person, and then manage it, and then relationship management. So these are all social intelligence which are very much required for a leader, and which can actually make him more successful apart from emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence is a must thing. But apart from emotional intelligence, if he has social intelligence, he know how to go along with and how to move along with the people, and how to encourage them, and how to make them influence through his actions. So I still remember, like when I was as a medical representative, one of my area manager, he came to my room, and he saw that I was having a lot of samples. That time we used to get a lot of samples for the physician samples. So he said that, what will you do with this? I said that, okay, I will give only when the doctor does any OPD camp, or otherwise I will not do that, because I was in Guntur. In Guntur, there are stockists who sell only samples. So I could have sold it to them. Then he advised me that if you go into that business, for example, you will always repent in your entire life, because what happens, the moment you are habituated for that kind of wrong practices in the initial days, you will always carry that burden. And even if you become a top level, you still do that, all those the wrong things. So better not to adopt any kind of those things. So that has given me the complete idea about how to be ethical, and why ethical things has to be carried as a leader. And today I'm very thankful to my manager, who guided me when I was required the real direction. So this is what happens when you are an area manager, when you're a regional manager. People are looking at you for advice. So always guide them through good advice and through good action. Even if you give advice and you yourself is selling those things, then you cannot, nobody will care your words. So that is as simple as that. It's like a parenting kind of thing. For a leader, the team is like a children whom you have to, whatever you wanted in them, first of all you should inculcate, and you should live those things. And then we have CI, that is called cognitive intelligence, which we call it as IQ also. So cognitive intelligence is required when you are trying to analyze and do a strategic decisions. So we call it as system thinking and pattern recognition. These two are the part of cognitive intelligence, where you have reasoning and you have the logic, which is more of IQ. Okay, so this is called more with the memory and processing of information fastly. So these are all cognitive intelligence capabilities. So finally, to handle yourself, use your head. To handle others, use your heart. By Arnold Roosevelt is the right quotation for this time. As a leader, you should always use your heart when you're dealing with the people, because you're dealing with the people, humans, not the subjects. And thank you very much for this opportunity to Live Pharma Coalition, my seniors, and some of these, sites which helped me to get up with this presentation. Thank you very much. If any questions, yeah, the floor is open. Thank you.
Yeah, ICS, that was very short and apt to the timing, because we are approaching lunchtime, and
Yeah.
very crisp presentation. It has been appreciated again by, just to name a few, Rajput sir is there. He has appreciated Sudeep Baumik, Senthil, Kuldeep. These people have appreciated the sessions. In fact, Rajput sir says very valid point by you have made. And Sudeep says social intelligence is very important in modern management. And Kuldeep has appreciated creativity. And Senthil says integrity and gratitude. Learn from my father. So just to summarize very shortly before we go into the next round, question answers. You talked about competencies. You talked about three must important have competencies, which is communication, job skill, computer knowledge. And who is a leader? You defined it very apt, and in our training programs also we take it. Leadership is not by 2x3 visiting card. Leadership is how you have a followers, how you create a followers. You gave an apt example of different leaders which were there, inspirational leaders. And three important competencies which today leaders should have is emotional intelligence, social intelligence, and cognitive intelligence, which is there. So thank you, ICS, for adding the value in terms of leadership competencies. With this, I'll go to my moderator, Yashwant, for any questions which are there for our today's speakers. So Yashwant, over to
Thank
you.
you. Thank you very much, Vinod. Really insightful, all the diverse topic, but very
Yeah.
much relevant in today's context. Thank you, ICS sir, for giving insight on leadership competencies. So we'll directly go to the questions. First question I would like to ask Milind sir. Very, very important for emotional intelligence. Milind sir, as you know, a post-COVID situation, right?
Yeah.
All of us are suffering from the talk about emotional intelligence has increased a lot. So what is the reason about that? If you can throw some light and give insight.
Yeah, actually, there are two or three very important factors that are
Yes,
playing.
yes,
One is that the finances of people are very severely strained. Especially as we deal with the hospitality
true.
industry. We know that most of the players have completely shut down. So finances is a big strain. Second thing is that people are not able to meet each other face to face. Humans being social creatures, everybody wants to meet each other, they want to celebrate. That is not happening. And the third is that people are landing up with a lot of people spending time at home, like especially when the homemakers see that those who were the salary earners aren't going out to work and they're spending time at home and keeping on asking a lot of questions. All these things together cause a lot of stress, and each of them has to be dealt with in their own way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Related to this, another question is there. A very good insight you have given in organizations also. If you think in organizations also, how does EI helps in organization in functioning within the organization? If you can give some insight, cross-functional coordination. I think there is a great help of emotional intelligence. Leaders can play a role also.
Yeah, so I think two factors very important in terms of EI is communication and empathy. So 90% of our problems happen because the communication is not correct, and there is a lot of synergy which can be generated if the empathy is there, both from leaders to the people who are following them, as well as at the same level. So I think communication and empathy are very vital parts of emotional intelligence that can make a big difference to how organizations function.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Another question I have for Arpan. Arpan, you are known as a storyteller in the community, a lot of appreciation. So if we are the trainers, right? We are the trainers. I, Vinod, and ICS, we three of us are trainer, and there are many trainers and leaders. If you can give us some tip how to develop this skill, storytelling skill. So how you have developed, if you can give insight, because in our training program, we need a lot of stories, and not only stories, how to tell the stories also very, very important. So if you can give some tips on that, it will be relevant for us.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
First and foremost, storytelling is something we have witnessed right from the time we were on the laps of our grandparents. Like one person said that the first storyteller was the grandmother, the grandfather, or our mothers. Exactly. So that is the time we were basically introduced to storytelling. And if we can go back to our childhood, the stories which we had heard at that time, they are still there in our minds. We haven't forgotten them, because these stories have a certain amount of glue which makes them stick to our mind, because they have emotions wrapped around them. So as far as a training program is concerned, a training program encompasses many things, and one of them is communication. And communication is something which can always be done better if storytelling is there, because the flow has to be there. Because if I am going to narrate to a story, the story has to be interesting, it has to be exciting, and for that the communication skills also become very important, because it is not the person who is narrating the story, rather it is the person who is hearing the story that needs to get excited, that needs to get inspired. So that is why I have always felt that stories do three things: it teaches us, it influences us, and it inspires us. And that is how I think training storytelling can be taken up as a very, very important tool to make the lessons stay in the heart of the trainees.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think ICS sir want to add
ICS
something.
wants
Yes,
to add.
yes, yes.
Yes.
I see, sir.
So as far as stories are concerned, husbands are the best storytellers. By far.
That keeps
So,
wives awake. Acha, Arpan, my connecting question.
Interesting story.
Yeah. Arpan, if you allow me, one
Yeah.
connecting question. As you said, stories are generally the grandmothers. From them we used to hear the stories. I also remember in my childhood when in the night I never used to sleep. My mother used to tell the story, and I used to go to sleep. So in training, we cannot afford for a person to sleep with stories. So what is the difference like? How to keep a person awake with the stories is any way different from the grandmother's kind of a story?
Sir, the grandmother stories were bedtime stories, but the stories trainers tell are the daytime stories.
Very good.
So,
Okay.
so the daytime stories are the one which don't allow us to sleep because they provide such a lot of inspiration that it stirs up the thing within them that they become passionate to just go out and succeed. So those stories should carry that amount of inspiration that what I dream, I am going to get inspired and I'm going to achieve that.
Well said. Well said. That is what is very, very important. Selection of stories, as you rightly said, and the communication part, how you tell the story. It should be
Yes.
very inspiring. So,
Yes.
I'm sure the audiences are getting the message which is there. Those who want to communicate with their team also, how they can communicate through stories which are there. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, to add to this, sir, if I can say, the most inspirational of leaders throughout the world have been very good storytellers, and more
Oh,
than that, they have been very flamboyant communicators. So these two things are very important for a leader to be very successful: the communication and the storytelling, because they are interconnected, and that generates the inspiration to the teams. Sir. Thank you.
okay. Yeah. There is, in fact, Yashwant Dayal, one question has come which Sunil Malkani had asked. So it is for Milanji. Milanji, for you.
Yeah.
In fact, you have addressed indirectly this. If you would like to add on further points on this,
Mhm.
Sunil Malkani is from a training team in Sun Pharma. He is a
Okay.
general manager there. He is asking one question. Your suggestion, sir, he says.
Yeah.
How to deal with team members who have temper tantrums? So how do you deal with those team members who are having a temper tantrums?
Yeah. So ultimately what happens is that people are always looking for responses. So when a person loses their temper, if we don't respond, then they will also automatically get the feeling that yes, there is no response coming, and they will review within themselves, and they will also tend to cool down, so it's like in NLP, a kind of matching will happen between us and them when we cool. So that will help a lot, and then once they've cooled down, we are able to explain things to them in a better manner.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Well said. Yeah, some recognitions are coming. Anand Agarwal, who was one of our speakers in the last program, he says best wishes to LPC team. Good presentation on SI. It's very important in today's era. Right behavior is expected from everyone. PK Rajput has also appreciated. He has been live throughout. Thank you, Rajput sir, for being alive for the entire session. And Sudeep Baumik, Senthil, these are people who are continuously there for more than 1.5 hours. So I think it's a time for to wrap up. Yashwant, any further
Yes,
question
yes.
before we go to the
One or
last?
two one question I have for ICS Verma,
Yeah.
sir. Very good insight, sir, you have given on leadership competencies. You have told about three competencies: emotional intelligence, social intelligence, and cognitive. So, which one you think is more important than others in today's contest? According to you, which should be given a more weightage, or some insight if you can give on that?
EI is number one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So until and unless you are not emotionally intelligent, you cannot be socially intelligent or cognitively, because
Very, very.
is the maximum success rate. That's what Milind sir was discussing about. 90% of the successful people have high EQ. When you have a high EQ, you actually understand from the other person's point of view, and you put yourself in their shoes, so you understand more, and you become like a more influential leader. That's what, if you see the people like Chhatrapati Shivaji, why he become so successful as a great emperor, because he never differentiated between the Hindu or Muslim or anybody. So he used to train them all as a equals, and he used to understand that, and the kind of respect also, he used to have a lot of respect to women and all. So but when it comes to the social intelligence is required when you are emotionally good, and then you can actually wanted to, you can mingle with the people and you can work with them and you can inspire them. But the first and the foremost thing is emotional intelligence, which is very, very high as far as my learning is concerned in the recent, my learnings.
And that takes me to Milind sir again. Sir, you are the expert in emotional intelligence. If you can give a brief about any course which we can do on emotional intelligence, not only we,
Yeah.
but about managers. Our most of the viewers are managers, sales and marketing professionals. Some courses, some certification course, something if you can say, which will give us a in-depth understanding about emotional intelligence. Or if you have any course, you can give us a brief about.
Uh, what I will do is that I will confirm this in a few days.
Yes,
But
sir.
we have an emotional intelligence certification course which is coming up in December. So
Wonderful.
that is going to talk in depth about emotional intelligence, and what people will also get is that they will get a free emotional intelligence assessment also during that certification. Okay.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Wonderful.
So
So
yeah,
Definitely.
so this, I think within the next 1 week we will be finalizing this, and then I can share the details which you can then give to other people also. Yeah.
uh,
That,
yeah,
hmm.
Milind sir, you being an expert, I have one clarity wanted,
Huh?
because as it is said, emotional intelligence is the most important requirement today on the job also, and certain statistics which you showed, people
Right.
need to have more of emotional intelligence.
Huh?
So is the social skills or social intelligence the part of emotional intelligence, or is it separate?
No, no, it is a part of that. If you notice, when we ran the presentation, we talked about social skills.
Yeah, that is
So
what your presentation talked on that. So
yeah,
it's a
so
part of
Most of them are overlapping, in fact.
yeah,
overlapping. I
correct,
believe it
correct.
is
Yes,
both are
yes,
overlapping. Social
yes,
intelligence and
and
emotional
emotional
intelligence. There is a
intelligence.
overlap.
Yes, yes.
It's a part of that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. What Mr. Verma said is absolutely right. They are
Yeah.
overlapping. Yeah.
Both are overlapping on this. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So I think we had a very interesting today. Even our live audience have appreciated something different. Our focus was more on the topic and to have the experts with us. All the three experts have given their valuable time on Sunday, being a, I should say, a day which is more you would like to spend with a family. You are spending with LPC, and that is what is very appreciable from your point of view also, to come on this platform and talk, share your knowledge. Milind sir, even Mr. Arpan and Mr. ICS Verma, our own, जैसे घर का मुर्गी बोलते हैं, he also gave a lot of insights on leadership competencies which is there. So thank you to all the speakers, the live
Our
audience who
pleasure.
are there with us. You can share this link, same link, for recording to others who are there, who have not been able to see this. With this, Yashwant, any further questions, or we should go to the last parting message?
Yes, yes, yes. No questions, but there are some appreciation. Mr.
Yes.
Nilanjan, some of the names I have to mention. Nilanjan has told biggest advantage of the stories are their retention is very high and communication. You can have that. Senthil says integrity and gratitude. I have learned from my father. These are the very important things on leadership. Sudeep says social intelligence is also very, very important in modern management. And one of the follower of Milind sir, Sudhakar has said, "Ki, sir, please mention my name. I am an author." Sir might be knowing him
Okay.
well. So
Okay.
Sudhakar, thank you very much for your appreciation, and we have mentioned your name. So we'll
Wonderful.
have you in future also. Debabrita Majumdar, thank you very much. Technique Sudeep. So all the names here, my colleague Vinod has mentioned. So thank you very much, everyone, for active participation. With that, we'll go to the speakers for their take-home message. We can start from Arpan. What is your take-home message for the viewers? Last parting shot.
Yeah, thank you so much for spending this time around 2 hours on this Sunday morning to listen to the wonderful aspects of emotional intelligence as well as storytelling. In fact, both of them are very important to us, both professionally as well as in our personal life. as Vinod sir said about something very nice about storytelling. So I think these are some things which are going to make us as a person, because they will boost the feelings of trust, compassion, and empathy in all of us. And storytelling is what I consider a wonderful leveler, because it brings every person on the same platform, on the same page, as far as understanding is concerned. So thank you so much, LPC, for giving me this opportunity to present my views on your wonderful platform. Thank you so
very
much.
much. Thank you very much. Milind sir, your parting shot. Yes.
Okay, what I would say is that ultimately life is all about relationships. So if we really focus on our relationships and if we mindfully build our relationships, everything in terms of our personal life as well as in terms of our professional life will work itself out perfectly. That's all.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Really insightful. I would like to have the ICS Verma sir for his take-home message.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, both the speakers. It was really wonderful. So I don't want to part, because this LPC is my part. So the take home should be leadership is, we are all, everybody is a leader irrespective of the title or position. So you are as a brother, as a father, as a mother, as a sister. So we are all leaders. The only thing is we have to develop our skills so that when we become, bigger in the organization, our actions impact the other lives. So that's where your skills and your life impact others. So that's why you have to be more, learnable and more teachable, so that you'll be a great leader and you can influence and you can lead many people, and you can actually guide them towards the successful life. So that
Thank
is
you
what
very much, sir. Thank you very much. At the end, we would like to thank all our active audience. So, whatever Life Pharma Coalition is today, not because of the core team members of four of us, this is because of the speakers, the eminent speakers who give us the valuable time, and our active participants. So, we have already mentioned all the participant viewers, those who want to be a part of Life Pharma Coalition. Please connect with us through Facebook and YouTube. Our numbers are also there. You can connect through WhatsApp. We'll be happy to have you with us in the long run. With that, Diwali is coming. Best wishes on Festival of Life to you and your family. And we go ahead and thank you.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
can end it.
So once again, thank you everyone. A very happy Diwali to our viewers, live viewers, and those who will be watching recording link also. Next Sunday we will have a special Diwali episode. So stay tuned at again 11 o'clock. And thank you from the LPC team, including Raman, who is not there with us, and ICS is there. ICS, we will not allow you to part also. And Yashwant, we four of us.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you to the
Thank you.
speakers.
Okay.
Milind sir,
Final
thank you,
comment.
Arpan.
Final
Happy
comment before we
Diwali.
close. One Ritesh Sharma says, Milind sir, lot to learn from you. Thanks for wonderful session. Okay,
Thank you
even
very
ICS, you have always delight to watch. Ritesh has mentioned. So thank you. And storytelling, one of the best we had today from Arpan. Lot of learning. Thank you to all. We will
Thank
go
you very
offline.
much.
Bye
Okay.
from outside. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you.